Hello, this is Angelique, and you're listening to We're Booked Up, a segment of the Gaston Speaks podcast wherein Kendall, Andrew, and I discuss books. For this episode, in honor of Spooky Month and Hispanic Heritage Month, we read Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. There will be spoilers, so keep that in mind. Trigger warnings for rape, coercion, and body horror for those who need them. But first, what have we been reading or watching?
You want to go first?
You go ahead.
Okay. I started Poker Face, which
So good.
I'm only 2 episodes in, and I'm like, I can't wait to binge watch the rest of it tonight. It's Natasha Lyonne. She actually got an Emmy nod for it. And it's on Peacock, but we actually have it here on DVD at the library, and that's where I got it. And it's interesting. It's got a lot of good guest stars too coming up. Like I think I don't know all of them. I mean, I know some of them just from like Emmy ballots, but it's real. I like her. Natasha Lyonne. I loved her in Russian Doll.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't a big fan of that show, but I loved her in it. And so I think you guys should check it out. Also, I have been reading this, and I'm supposed to be reading Demon Copperhead for book club. I am 1.5 pages into it.
Ooh,
and I
so
have
far.
like 9 days, and it's like 500 pages. So it's going to be interesting.
I think you can do it. I
Yeah.
believe in you.
I'm going to have to. So it's just going to have to.
Well, we
happen.
know you can wing it if you have to.
Yeah, I
so.
literally finished this book about 20 minutes ago.
You can do it.
I got it. What about you, Kendall?
So it's funny you mentioned Poker Face because, sometimes I think it's Joker Face because for some reason it's got this, I don't know. Anyway, so it's
funny.
Poker Face.
It's got a dark humor. Yeah.
So it's got a really heavily 70s influence, murder mystery, Columbo. Like I actually heard her talk about the collaboration with Rian Johnson and that they were like leaning heavily on Columbo. So Marcus and I actually have been watching Columbo. Have you guys ever seen it?
No.
I've seen one episode or two, I think.
No.
It's actually really interesting, and I so understand her character choices now based on what I'm watching. It's actually really interesting.
Where is it that you can watch it?
I don't know. Marcus sets it up.
Okay, gotcha. It's available on some sort of service.
What is Poker Face on?
Poker Face.
Why
Peacock.
It's on Peacock. I
Yeah.
think it's on Peacock. Then.
We
Okay.
also have it here.
No,
Columbo?
Columbo. We have
No,
it here.
Poker Face, we have it here.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. But
Oh, yeah.
Columbo, that makes sense. It probably was an old NBC production from back in the day.
Anyway, it's very good.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
like surprised how much we like it. And then the other thing, so I'm patiently waiting on being able to watch Ghosts season 4, the BBC version.
Oh.
But Marcus and I are catching up on the American version, and it has hit its stride. It is so funny.
It really is a good show, guys.
I can't.
And I think we have the first season here on DVD. And so you can definitely start here. And then when season 2 comes out, we'll get it. So if you can't get it on streaming, come to the library.
Do it.
It's a good show.
I highly recommend.
Mhm.
Highly recommend. And then I've started like 14 books, and this is the only one I've finished.
Gotcha. About you, Ace?
Oh, I actually watched stuff that wasn't YouTube this time.
No car crash videos?
No car crash. I did still watch those,
Oh,
but
God.
not exclusively.
Not exclusively.
Okay, so I watched the One Piece live action, which
Is
I
it
liked.
Good?
I liked it.
Okay, got good reviews.
Yeah,
So.
I liked it. I watched
What is that?
One Piece is an anime.
anime
Oh,
manga.
okay.
Yeah, it's
That's why I
actually a
don't know.
really long anime manga, and they condensed like an entire arc into 8 episodes. They had cut out a lot, but it's still okay. And then I watched Nimona, which I liked, which is on Netflix. It's based on a graphic novel.
Yeah.
It has Chloe Grace Moretz and Riz Ahmed
Okay.
and
love Riz Ahmed.
Eugene
Ooh.
Lee Yang, if you know who he is.
That's a solid cast.
Nimona, is it a J graphic or YA graphic?
It's YA.
YA graphic. Okay, I've
YA
seen that
graphic.
title. That's how I knew that.
It's pretty good. Chloe Grace Moretz did a really good job in the voice acting. I watched Asteroid City, that
Oh yeah, the Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah. And then I watched this Taiwanese movie called Marry My Dead Body.
Oh, that sounds.
It's very funny. It's about a guy who gets trapped into a ghost marriage.
You and I have such different tastes in television.
It's very it was good. It's actually really long too. It's like 2 hours.
Okay.
A little over 2
I would
hours.
try it, sure.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny. It's
I mean,
very
I'm not
funny.
going to, but I
You might like it, actually,
Really?
yeah.
I don't know what that says about me.
That you like ghost marriages?
Not normally, it's not on my.
I know, maybe it's just really good storytelling. I don't know.
It's funny.
There is a lot of really great foreign television that's finally starting to make its way here through like Apple, like Pachinko, which was the Apple TV with Ye Jung-yin, who I love. It was really good. And then Netflix has started to bring some really cool stuff too. So I'm glad because there's some really, just like the foreign movies that are finally, people are really watching here, the foreign television's pretty good besides just the British stuff.
That's good to know.
Are we ready to begin with the book?
Let's do it. All
right, I will read the synopsis. Okay. After receiving a frantic letter from her newlywed cousin, Noemi Taboada heads to High Place, a distant house in the Mexican countryside, unsure what she will find. Noemi is an unlikely rescuer. She's a glamorous debutante, more suited to cocktail parties than amateur sleuthing. But she's also tough, smart, and not afraid. Not of her cousin's new English husband, a stranger who's both menacing and alluring. Not of his father, the ancient patriarch who seems fascinated by Noemi. And not even of the house itself, which begins to invade Noemi's dreams with visions of blood and doom. Noemi's only ally in this inhospitable place is the family's youngest son. But he too may be hiding something dark. For there are many secrets behind the walls of High Place, as Noemi discovers when she begins to unearth stories of violence and madness. Mesmerized by this terrifying yet seductive world, Noemi may soon find it impossible to save her cousin or even escape this enigmatic house.
I mean, it's a solid blurb because it doesn't give away the anything, but it does. I mean, when I read it, I thought, oh, okay, this might be interesting. So, did you not?
Oh, no, I was looking up how to pronounce Noemi because I've been saying Nomi in my head.
Oh.
So it was a Hermione moment.
Gotcha.
I'm sorry. I also agree that the blurb, it works. It's accurate. But it doesn't
give too much away.
No, it really doesn't. Just sets the setting, the foundation. Solid. Thumbs up.
Yeah. I like that, but no, anyway. I'm kidding.
Huh?
Nothing. Let's go on to the next.
I don't know what's going on right now.
Either. I missed it. We are never playing charades together.
All right. Ratings.
I really liked it, so 4.5 stars.
Okay. What do you think?
I put 3 3/4 stars. 3.75.
I would say 3.
Really?
3. This is not my book.
Yeah.
But there were parts of it that I thought I'm impressed with the author's writing.
Yeah. Good writing.
I didn't particularly like all of it, but again, I'm not a horror fan. So you just let's get that out of the way. This is very much it's in our horror section, our new horror section, and Andrew is not a horror fan, so a solid 3. But normally I would give it like a 2 or 1, just because it just doesn't fascinate me. But she's a very good writer.
Cool. I feel real good about my rating.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because I figured this is not your. I mean, I'm not super into horror, but I feel like of the 3 of us, I would read horror. I don't know. Would you read horror much?
You're more like sci-fi.
Yeah, I'm more sci-fi fan.
Yeah, I would read horror before I would read sci-fi.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So we all liked it.
I liked it.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm still processing it too.
I mean, I'm still trying to not process some of it.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. First question. Did you like the main character? Did you have a favorite character or least favorite character?
Okay, so I Noemi. At first, I like the writing and construction of the character because I don't like her at first.
Mm-hmm.
She's a little stuck up. She's a little snobby. She's a little into herself. But that's exactly what she needed to be in order to survive this house. Mm. She also had an incredible sense of self and what she wanted, which is kind of funny to say because she also was like, I don't know, I don't want to change up being a socialite, but I also don't want to commit to anything. But she also wasn't about to let someone else invade who she was.
Yeah.
Was she your favorite character?
I mean, I guess. I don't feel like I really know any of, there were characters that I thought were good and likable and characters that I thought were well written and dislikable. So I guess, yeah, she was my favorite character.
My favorite character was the woman who got the tonic from.
Marta,
yeah. I know she was one of those side characters, but I always liked when the few scenes that she was in, she just seemed cool. She had the parrot. You know, it's
we like it when characters have random birds.
Yeah, she's kind of like the random bird lady from the holiday one we did.
Yes, Let It Snow.
I don't know. She was one of those that it was so dark and it was heavy at points. And for some reason, even when she was telling them all the horrible things that happened, for some reason, when it's I think it's the town. I think it represented getting away from High Place, and so it was nice to get away from High Place. My least favorite character was Francis. Not Francis. Sorry, wait. Oh, yeah. No, sorry, not Francis. Although I didn't like him. What was his mother's name? Florence. It was Florence I didn't like. Yeah. Sorry.
She was definitely dislikable.
And like the other ones were dislikable, but she was just like
particularly.
There was nothing. She was just pure. I didn't particularly like Francis either. Just in case you're wondering. I don't know. I that part of the ending. I when we get to that. Spoilers, by the way. I don't know.
I felt it unnecessary as well.
I felt it unnecessary, and I just feel like he didn't deserve. I mean, he did because he was sucked into it, but then he knew what was going on, and he didn't. I don't know. I don't feel like he's as redeemable as people make him out to be.
I feel like she trusted him a little too much.
Yeah,
I have a theory about why Noemi went with Francis in the end, and that is because in horror, you always have that little nugget at the end of something creepy still lingers, and part of me thinks by Noemi and Francis getting together, that is the possible seed that the mushrooms need to continue to spawn and spore and stuff like that. So I kind of think it was like a creepy thing, not a loving thing.
Okay, that makes more sense. If she ever wanted a sequel, she has that little.
There's just there's a doorway there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think sure he should have survived, but also I don't know that. Just this is the first person you meet of slight substance, and you always describe him as like, I mean, he doesn't describe. She does not describe him as wayfish, but that's just what kept coming up, like lacking substance.
Yeah,
and kind of sullen, and you know, I mean, there was nothing about him that at the end was like, oh, we should fall in love. Like he was definitely not a romantic comedy lead or anything.
Maybe
like
it's
that.
just a trauma bond thing, and they break up, like Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves in Speed. Really?
Yes.
I love you. What a random thing to be thinking about.
So, you say he should have lived. I actually thought he was going to die. I thought that somehow he was going to sacrifice himself so that the women would live, and that I thought would be the ending. And to me, that one I would have liked better.
Truthfully,
but then there would have been a nugget.
Yeah.
So
truthfully, halfway through the book, I was like, "Oh, this guy is meant to he's a red herring." I thought he was gonna be bad all the way through. Like I thought he was gonna have a heel turn.
Yeah.
Okay,
me too,
gotcha.
actually.
I think I did think that, but then but it was just as the ending was coming on, I'm like, I know what's gonna happen.
The scene that changed it for me was when he was talking to her in a bedroom and he started speaking Spanish to her because they couldn't speak Spanish in Mexico. Drives me nuts. Anyway.
Well, I think that's part of the supremacy stuff.
Oh, 1,000%. Yes. Yeah. But it was also like, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. How come Howard has lived so many lives and he never bothered to learn another language?
Right.
Anyway, but for me, I realized, I was like, oh, okay, Francis is going to be good all the way throughout when he started speaking Spanish to her. And I was like, oh, something's going to happen. Let's go.
Gotcha.
So, anyway.
What about you?
I liked Noemi.
Yeah.
I thought she was fun. Least favorite was Florence.
Yeah.
I hated her.
Yeah.
She was the author did a really good job of making her just so unlikable.
Because even like with the other, like with Harold.
Howard? Harold is a solid old man name, though. I would
really, yeah. And then what was the
Virgil?
Y'all, it just went away. It was like my day. Anyway,
don't ask me about any of the previous generations because that's all big mush to me.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Both of them were evil, but they had like the charming evil. They had the intelligent evil, whereas Florence was just pure evil.
So what makes it so frustrating for me for Florence is she has no buy-in other than she felt stuck. And she felt like, I guess, that the gloom had possessed her in such a way. Because she went away, found another husband, and still brought him back. Like, why would you bring him back? I don't understand her buy-in.
Right, because Virgil was supposed to be...
Yeah, Virgil was going to be the son, the heir, the new Howard, or what we were led to believe was going to be the new Howard.
Right, and then Francis was stuck because of the familiar. I mean, because of his mother and those bonds and that kind of stuff.
So it's
right.
extra frustrating that it felt like she had more of a choice than anyone else, and still chose to do that and to not when her son was like going to be sacrificed in the end,
Yeah.
the response was basically like, he's just a body. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh,
See, pure evil versus like, yeah, there's just a pure.
ugh.
Ugh,
Yeah.
ugh.
Did not like her. Okay, next question. What did you think of the setting? Did you think High Place was spooky enough?
I thought it went on too long. That was a little bit for me. It was like the horror really kicked in like the last like 85 pages or so.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of setting.
Yeah.
And a lot more setting. And so she did a really excellent job with it.
Mhm.
Incredibly descriptive. I really could see this as a film or miniseries or something. And the way she's described it, whoever gets to do the art direction, the cinematography, doesn't have to have too much imagination because she does
Sorry.
it. No, so, sorry. Was that?
No. It's just funny. You just don't have to have any imagination.
What I mean is because she did such a good job of
Yes,
describing
yeah,
it
she really
that,
did.
that they really can just follow her lead.
Yeah.
But it also went on too long. And that's why I think, so I was able to plow through those last, I read the last, okay, so it was actually the last like 60 pages today. I lied. But
I don't
anyway,
care.
but I was able to plow through them because that's when it started really moving and the plot really, and the horror stuff started kicking in. It took me a long time to get into it.
Yeah.
It was about halfway through. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to finish this. And I started feeling it because it was a lot of setting.
Yeah.
So part of it for me was the fact that it was the kind of horror that it's described as Gothic. So it's meant to be setting the scene. It's
Right.
damp. It's
The setting is usually a character as well.
creepy. The setting is a character, and I think she did a really good job developing that character.
True.
I thought it was interesting that it was a house, and so it mirrors kind of what we had talked about this time last year
Yeah.
with In the Dream House. And so
mhm.
I'm really glad we read In a Dream House because I saw a lot of those themes coming through.
Mhm.
So it was anticipating it being slow and creepy and setting up an unreliable narrator situation. Is this really because it's just creepy here, or is it really haunted? And I thought, I don't know. I liked it. I thought she did a really good
Yeah.
job. I didn't think it was. I can understand where you could say it was too long in setting it up,
Mhm.
but I think that's part of the like drawing it out and really increasing the characters' time in which they have to kind of just piddle about and figure things out and
Her isolation.
isolation. There we
Yeah.
go. That's what I'm going for. I forgot where my brain was going with this.
No, I think you made a good point.
There was more in there.
Well,
Anyway, I thought that I thought she did a good job, and I understand why the author made the choices she made in creating.
can I be
house
honest
the
too?
way
I'm not the
she
biggest
did.
Gothic fan either.
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
that's fine.
And I've read a lot of books where, like, I remember when I was there was a class I took in college, and it was literature based around American slavery,
Mm-hmm.
and that was actually my final like question for like my final exam was about the houses because between Faulkner and Harriet Beecher Stowe and some of these others. So this is something, and a lot of them that they learn from that era that the house is a character. Again, very descriptive, very well written.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you said that she had to piddle, and I'm like, yeah, she piddled.
You just wish the pace had picked up a little more.
Just a little more, like literally
Yeah.
like 20, 30 pages less of that. And I think I would have liked it. It'd been a 4-star for me.
I think I would have incorporated some of the horror elements earlier that wasn't just in the dream world. That because for so long it was like the only scary stuff was really happening in her
Right.
dreams.
Yeah.
So maybe I would have had that come in a little earlier.
Yeah.
But I'm not a writer. It's fine.
How
How about you?
I liked the setting. I thought it was well done. I feel dumb because it was like towards the end of the book where they're like escaping or whatever, and like they're going down that tunnel. And then I had the sudden thought, oh, that's why it's always so dark in that house because they have to let the mushrooms grow.
I just
They
got
grow
that.
better
I didn't get
in
that.
the dark and the damp.
In the damp. Because
Yeah.
they mentioned at
Okay.
one point, like, the reason they don't like her smoking is it smells. But I was also thinking the fire and the warmth.
Yeah, that too.
And
that too. Yeah.
Because, like, they don't like hot baths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, anything. They want it to stay cool
And
and
damp and
damp
decaying.
and dark.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. So I think she did a good job with that. Okay. Did you have a favorite passage or quote? I'll go first because
Okay,
I know.
thank you.
I, just had to get to
I
my
did
notes.
not get one down.
Sure.
I got the book down.
So it's-
that
it's-
was my accomplishment.
It's mostly just a line. Hold on. I have to find the page.
I do have at least 2 of the people I think would be good for when we cast the movie.
I know I've got people too. Okay, cool. Let's listen.
So where is it? Okay. So they're talking to Virgil about the marriage or whatever, and he goes, "My father can officiate. He's done so before." And she's like, "So I'll be wed in the church of the holy incestuous mushroom." I doubt that's valid.
I love it.
Oh, that's funny. Actually, I do think I have a quote. I just have to find it.
And honestly, when the opening of the book where she's like introducing like I guess Mexico City and the life that Noemi lives, where she's talking about all the drivers and waiting for like their employers to come out. I thought she did a really good job of like setting the scene of the time period and where they was and what she was part of.
Okay, so I found the quote that I actually was on page 114 of our book. Florence had just asked Noemi not to discuss Mexico City or parties with Francis, and Noemi responded, "I'll be sure to discuss with him the pre-approved subjects you dictate. Perhaps we can erase all the cities on the terrestrial globe and pretend they don't exist."
That was good. I do remember that one. That one was funny. Yeah.
I liked that. And then I do have a couple favorite like moments from the book. Is this now the time you would like to discuss that, or is that later?
We can go with that. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. I like that Catalina got her opportunity to really step up and what's the word? Her revenge moment.
Yeah.
She got to stab both not Arthur. Who is Arthur?
We're just making up old band names. I was like,
Isn't there? It's because Arthur Cummings, the doctor.
Oh, the doctor. Harold.
Harold and Arthur.
It's like a new Judd Hirsch sitcom. Like, I don't know where we're going with this. Okay.
Sorry.
Howard. Yes.
She got to stab both Howard and Virgil in the face. And those were her, abductors and abusers. And she got her.
I really like that too, because honestly, Catalina was annoying to me. And the reason is because and then it's because they were literally, she was becoming part. Yeah, exactly. But it was just like, there's got to be some. You keep hearing, "Oh, she had this spark. She had the spark. She had the spark." And I'm like, are we ever going to see that? And then we finally did. And it was like, okay, good. That they didn't just say all that and then drop it at the end. Like, you did finally see her.
Yeah, she got her moment to
right. It was
snap
good
back
too.
into it and get a little bit of revenge. I feel like it would have been different. I think for me, if Noemi was the one the whole way just dragging all these people through, come on, Francis.
Right. Yeah. They all had their moment in that. Yeah, and it all worked for what their characters were. Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Good point.
Okay. And then I had a least favorite scene.
Okay.
I'm not crazy about the dream sequences either, because I had a hard time discerning what was important information, what is just her dreaming. But then when she dreamt about them eating babies.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of that. That was really gross. I did not like it. But I did appreciate that there were actually no flashbacks in I appreciate that there were no flashbacks in the book. It was told through the memories and dream sequences. And I liked that.
They didn't like overtake.
Yeah, I really did not like when he was naked and
that's
I don't do gross.
So
I don't do gross.
the when they would talk about the
boils
coming up on his body and he's big and bloated and
it's just
thank you, hard pass.
It's like that one in 7.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what I pictured, and I can't. I like that. I've seen that movie once. It's brilliant. I don't ever want to see it again. Yeah, for that scene almost alone.
So
yeah.
Gross. So I don't need that. Side note. I had just bought portobello mushrooms.
And you will never eat them again.
And now I'm like, well, you're going to go bad in my fridge. And yeah.
Cook them. Show them who's boss.
Yeah, but I can't get over the image of like the boils popping and them drinking the wine that came from the boils.
We have to eat supper soon, Kendall. So let's get.
This is the imagery in her book. I didn't make this up.
I'm messing with you.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, so you had asked. Okay. Favorite scenes, like favorite scenes.
Do you have a favorite? Something that stands out in your head?
I will say, again, I found it interesting that I think I enjoyed the horror half of the book more so than the other because I'm not a horror fan. But that whole twist with like the ex-wife or the wife, and that she was the one they were feeding off of, and all that kind of stuff. Like, it was creepy, but it also was kind of nice because you're right. all those past people kind of all ran together. So it was nice that there was that some of that connected back, and they weren't just distant memories.
Mm-hmm.
And it also, I did like the moment where there was the realization of, of when they were able to burn down the house.
Yeah.
That realization. So yeah, I liked that part, and then I didn't like the ending. But I don't know. I actually liked the beginning when she's in Mexico City,
Mm-hmm.
and I liked her dad, and I was
Yeah.
like, I kind of would love like a prequel that's not a horror novel, that's just about like her life, because it seems like she has a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
She has a lot of cool friends. I don't know, like I could see like a really cool period piece in the 1950s Mexico, and give that story, that because I'm sure a lot of people don't know about like how vibrant Mexico City is and its history and all that kind of stuff. So I'm the history geek that was like, I'd love to see a historical novel, and then it's like, oh, death, mushrooms, and it just went from there. But I was weird and actually liked the first part of it.
I don't think that's weird. That makes sense.
Mhm.
She did a good job setting this scene.
She did, yeah,
really did.
and there was some. I think she probably did her research. My guess is there was some stuff in there that was historically accurate,
Mhm.
which that's what
Yeah.
Like
piqued my interest.
I keep thinking about like the date she had carrying like the horse head,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah,
the paper mache
Yeah.
horse head or whatever it was.
And
you know?
that she had copped down the costume, so he
Mhm.
was like it was funny, and yeah. So I liked the beginning
I
before
feel
she went to high house.
Yeah.
I know it's weird.
like that's a great moment to set her up,
Mhm.
as she's a little self-centered.
Yeah, a little
Sh-
flighty, a little
she's-
flaky.
She's gonna
She's-
do what she wants.
Right.
She's I don't know. So
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
it was really good character development.
So that's weird. But those are the kind of books that I would read versus this one normally.
You don't want to read about mushrooms growing on old men and then sporing and then becoming new again. But it's just Cocoon.
It is Cocoon. And I didn't like Cocoon, so this is. I mean, Don Amici won his Oscar. Good for him. But other than that, I didn't like Cocoon. Anyway, I'm sorry, Anjali. Go back to the
What?
script.
All right, the next
Script.
Whatever the questions.
The next question. What did you think of the reveal? How much of it did you see coming?
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. When it first started, I felt like it was what was that movie, The Happening, where it was like the flowers.
I don't
That
think
really
I've seen that
horrible.
happen.
It was a really horrible
the
M. Night
trees. I
Shyamalan
thought
movie. It was the trees, yeah. And I was like, this is stupid. My first response was, this is stupid. But you also have to understand, I had to have trouble suspending the disbelief
Yeah.
or whatever.
Mhm.
But then, as it went on, she did it that erased that initial. So my initial reaction was kind of like, oh dear God, mushrooms. For God's sakes. Really? Mushrooms. Spray some, fungicide, or is there such thing as fungicide? Yeah, spray
Yeah.
some bleach on it and move on with your life. And then it all made sense later on. So
I did like that it was not just the mushrooms. It was the mushrooms plus a horrible person doing horrible things, and then how the trauma in the family develops
Mm-hmm.
and it creates all this
Yeah.
pain, and then that goes back into the mushrooms and it becomes this life cycle, which was so much one of those themes in the book.
that's once all those connections started being made,
Mhm.
it wasn't just mush. Like that's when I
Mhm.
liked it. But the initial reveal was kind of like,
Again, mushrooms.
And the other symbol that kept popping up all the time with the family was I can't say the word.
Ouroboros.
And I just kept thinking never ending story. Never ending story. Which made me think of Stranger Things, which also part of the reason I don't like the book is how gross it is, which made me think about Stranger Things, the season that ended in the mall.
Yeah.
Like it
That
was gross
nasty.
and creepy like that to
But
me.
it's very similar. I mean, because it's
Mhm.
kind of like there's this thing that won't die, and it keeps breeding off each other and big and building.
Mhm.
It's a very similar theme.
Mhm.
It's funny because I really love Stranger Things,
Mhm.
so this makes me wonder. I said I think it would make a good movie. I bet I would like the movie better
I bet you would like the
Mhm.
movie better.
Probably.
because the visuals would be so good.
It's so gross.
Yeah, some of it I would struggle with, but
Ugh.
but some of that stuff it would be very similar to Stranger Things
Mhm.
in that vein.
Did I answer?
What was the question?
What did you think of the reveal? How much of it did you see coming?
What did you think about the reveal?
So a lot of the problem that I have with horror, that I'm invested usually in the first part until the reveal, and this is most horror books for me. As soon as it's revealed, I just kind of get bored.
It's kind of like Lost when they open the hatch. It's just
Yeah,
not that interesting.
basically,
yeah.
I'm like, it's fungus, I guess. That's great.
You know what I'm talking about.
yeah, I do know what you're talking about.
But did this one live up to it though?
Did you get bored?
A little bit. I just got tired of like how trapped she was.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, just leave. I know she didn't want to leave people, but part of me is like, just leave. Just leave.
See, that's the thing, too. I mean, no
Go
offense.
out there. Go find somebody. Come back. They're not going to leave that place. They're stuck there.
I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. There are very few family members I'm close enough. I would have already left. Screw Catalina.
Yeah. Well, like
And I love you all if you're listening to this, but there are just very few people that I would endure that for.
she talked about how she was like, she didn't want to do that because she felt like her dad would nullify the agreement. But I also kind of don't think he would, because he wanted what's her name, Noemi, to go out and check on Catalina and report back.
Yeah.
Right.
And then she just didn't report back any kind of truth.
That I will say, I really did expect at some point her father, because there were letters that were sent, but see, the letters were, she acted like everything was okay, right?
She did say something about needing, I think, a psychiatrist for Catalina, but not, it wasn't to the point where it's like, yeah, you should come out here too. And then once the big reveal happened, we know that the dad can't come out there because they would have just taken over his mind. The gloom would have taken over his mind.
I don't know. I feel like the dad kind of got dropped in all that.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. I mean, he was the setup. He didn't necessarily have to. He didn't have enough character to be a full storyline. But somehow I kept expecting him to kind of come back.
I'm glad he didn't, though, because I felt like it was a reflection of Noemi's self-sufficiency skills. And
I agree.
So I would have been like, oh, here comes her dad to save the day. It would have also set it up for the dad to come to save the day and then fail. And that would have been like a little heartbreaking.
Oh, true. Because that happens a lot in horror.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like, I'm here to save you.
Okay. All right. So this kind of leads into the next to last question. What did you think of the ending? Like, do you think it was resolved
So, like I said, I really liked when it started and when they started their escape. And I liked that they tied in these wives and these family members who had died and they never really were gone. And I kind of liked that part. I get Kendall made me like it better. The nugget at the end, because I really was kind of creeped out by it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm like, so this is it? You're never going to go back to your life? And that's what makes me think. So you're not going to go back to Mexico City where you have all these suitors who are much more attractive, much more engaging, much more fun. Or are you just going to go live in a house somewhere with Francis and then it becomes that house again? And so, it was just a little kind of But then again, you're right. That's how this is why I hate horror movies. That's how they always end. It's like Michael Myers is really never dead. You know, it gets old sometimes.
Yeah.
So I liked the way it all resolved. I was fine. I didn't care about, it didn't track really to me that Noemi and Francis would actually become an item at the end. In fact, the most annoying part to me of the whole dang book was the very last line. I was like, this is not what this book is about. Let me flip open.
The kiss was something.
Basically, yeah, they kissed and so she kissed him a second time for luck. When he looked at her again, his face was filled with such extraordinary gladness. So he's grateful she's kissing him. And the third time she kissed him, it was for love.
Yeah.
I think even if they end up together, that he said it earlier in the book that he was created to live in that house. And if you take something out of its environment, it might not thrive. I don't think he's gonna get sun on his cheeks and suddenly be a happier, sturdier kind of fella.
What's going to happen?
I think he's gonna fry like a crisp and still have to stay inside. Has sunblock been invented yet? I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't know. So I mean, that is the part I liked the least. Is that I didn't think the romance element was necessary.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy I liked how, like you were saying, they tied it back to the previous wives and how they lit her on fire and released her from her pain.
Yeah.
And it was purifying. Ugh. Because it was just, the whole thing was icky.
Yeah.
It was just icky.
So fire really is fire and water are purifying things.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, the water was growing it. So what do? You counteract that. And so, that fire which would normally be devastating, was like the rebirth.
Yep. The
phoenix in the fire type thing.
Yes. So I liked it. What did you think about it? Because I know you were bored.
Yeah. So I didn't like the romance aspect either. I was like you. I was thought he was gonna sacrifice himself.
Really?
And I was hoping that Noemi and Catalina would kind of team up and get out together, prove themselves as
That's
really
what I thought
strong,
was gonna happen.
women who can survive. And as Catalina gets out of this trance, I guess, she's been in under this family and able to save themselves and get out. So that's kind of what I wanted.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's once they hit the crypt, or not the crypt, whatever it was, the bottom before they went back up through the mausoleum. They kind of dragged Francis through that.
Yeah,
so to me, it wasn't like he was weighing them down. I mean, girl, he's dead weight. Cut him.
Well, my thing too is if all like if Virgil's having this like reaction to the like, I know Virgil's more connected, but I feel like as connected as Francis was,
he started the process of him.
I
What
feel
did
like he
they
wouldn't
call
have
it?
survived.
The transfer. They started the process
Right.
of Howard becoming in Francis. So I'm not totally convinced that Francis is 100% Francis. I mean, how much if the spores were growing in him the whole time? How much is he?
How did he not die when that house died?
Yeah,
like if he was, I get that the women were able to break the connection because they weren't blood related and they weren't there long enough for it not to be. But with him, it feels like if Virgil had that reaction, I guess Francis was just one step in the right direction.
He did get really ill and like slept for 2 days.
Yeah, well, I do that when I drink too much. I mean, what is that? I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I kind of agree with Angelique. I would have liked it if it had just been the two finally breaking through. And that's maybe where the dad could have come back in.
Yeah.
Like they could have been back in Mexico City or something and been free.
Mm-hmm.
And you could
still had a nugget.
Yeah, you could still have with Catalina because she'd been there longer and she'd been under longer.
That is true. She had been his wife, so maybe she ends up pregnant and it's like, is the baby...
Without that romance aspect.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, we fixed it. Fixed the ending.
Francis dies. And Catalina's pregnant, maybe with a mushroom.
I love it. Oh, what's your next question, Ace?
Last question is, who would you want to play who in the movie or miniseries?
You go first.
I thought of Ariana DeBose.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though she's singing, she does a lot of stuff, she's really good. Like, if you ever saw West Side Story, she's very good at the emotional stuff. And then for Francis, I thought of Cody Smith McPhee. He was in Power of the Dog. He's very tall, very lanky. He had very pale. He has actually some disorder that causes him to like be very tall.
Pale?
But I don't know. That's just I don't know. I don't know what it is. But he was in Power of the Dog, and he kind of played this like sly teenager with like a lisp, and he was kind of pale and thin, and you thought that there was nothing because he was the dog, but it ended up being anyway. I don't want to spoil that if you've never seen it.
I have not.
But I felt like he would be really good. I'll see if I can find a picture of him. And then for Harold, I thought of Kieran Hines.
I don't know who that is.
He was in Belfast. He's been in a lot of different things. I'm gonna try to find pictures of these people. He just has big eyes. And I kind of pictured, like, I don't know why I kind of pictured him like that.
Anyway, you're looking at pictures.
You look at pictures,
so,
yes.
Do you want to go next or you want me to go?
Go ahead.
Okay. So for Noemi, I chose Xochitl Gomez, who was the girl in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. She's a Mexican actress. And for Virgil, I chose Austin Butler because he's handsome, but I want to punch him in the face. No offense, Austin Butler. For Howard, I chose Donald Sutherland. For Francis, I chose Jamie Campbell Bower, the actor who played Vecna in Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah.
And for Florence, I chose Frances McDormand. She's so severe. I like her. And then for Ruth, I would have Ruth, the ghost who killed everybody, and she didn't have any regrets about it. Jenna Ortega.
Ooh, that'd be good. This is Kieran Hines.
Oh, yeah.
You know who that is? Okay, and then let me pull up Cody. I've actually now have I'm now connected here. So Cody Smith McPhee. No, not as Elvis. He wasn't in Elvis.
Elvis.
It heard you because it pulled up Austin Butler. This is, that's Cody Smith McPhee.
Oh yeah. See, he has the same vibe as Jamie Campbell. Who did I say? As Vecna.
Yeah. I didn't think about Florence. See, but I love Frances McDormand, and I have such a warm spot for her. It would be hard for her. She's never played, like, pure evil. So I was trying to think of someone who would play, like...
It's just so severe. I love it.
And then Austin, but I like that.
You could do Tilda Swinton.
She would be good. Yeah.
For some reason, I thought of Uma Thurman.
Ooh,
oh, okay.
actually, she would
I like
be good.
it. I think that'd be good, too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for, like, I don't have a lot. For, like, Francis, I kept picturing Domhnall Gleeson. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, the redhead.
Hux
Yeah.
in Star Wars.
He was in About Time with Rachel McAdams. Yeah.
I kept
He's
picturing-
Brendan Gleeson's son.
Yes.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And for I guess for some reason for Catalina, I picked. Have y'all seen the show Sense8?
No, I've wanted to. It's on Netflix, right?
Yes. There's a character in there, Daniela, and she's played by actress Arindira Ibarra.
Okay.
I think she would probably be good for Catalina, or honestly Noemi. She has her character in Sense8 has that kind of energy as well. But yeah, those are the only ones I pictured.
I like that we
I think
have
we've-
like
yeah.
really solid options here.
I feel like
for all the
we could
cast.
actually have like a casting call,
I
and like people
know.
had to win. I do like the Austin Butler one. That one's funny because you're right. After like when he wouldn't drop his accent, Brendan Fraser winning the Oscar was the greatest thing ever because that guy did not win for Elvis because he just
Aw,
annoyed
yeah.
me. It's no offense. I've seen interviews. He's a really nice kid. I mean, he's like our age, but he looks like he's like 25. But I don't know. Yeah, that bothered me. It was like you're trying to be Elvis to win an Oscar.
Yeah.
Apparently, Angela Bassett was like, "You gotta cut that out." She was like, "I'm done. I played Tina Turner. I get it. You gotta cut it out." So,
Yeah.
but that's cool. Those are some good choices, guys.
I think so. High fives. High fives.
We're getting better at this.
I think so. Well, I was like, oh, she's going to ask about this. And I was like, I'm not as well versed in actors in their 20s as I used to be.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I really don't know many Mexican actresses. So when her name came up, I was like, oh, they described a Mexican actress from the 50s, I think. In the book, they described like, this is what Noemi looks like. And so I was like, okay, I got to find a girl who could do
Yeah.
that. And one of the very first pictures that showed up for Xochitl Gomez was this like very 50s vibe. And I was like,
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yes, I choose you.
Mine was the Cody Spit McPhee immediately. Have you seen Power of the Dog?
Mm-mm.
It's on Netflix. It's very slow burning. It's got
Kind of like this book.
kind of like this book. Yeah. It's who's the Benedict Cumberbatch and Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons. It's a very good cast, but it's
Oh,
very
yeah.
slow burn. And the Cody Smith McPhee character, you're like, what is the purpose of, and then when you get to it, you're like, oh. So yeah, I kind of that's why he stuck in my head for Francis. But the other ones I had to think about.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
What's next?
Any final thoughts?
Oh, you know I got my list.
She has written other
Candles,
books.
Notes. Candles,
They're
notes.
not funny this
Candles,
time though.
notes.
She
Oh,
wrote another book.
Gods of
Yeah,
Jade
she's
and
wrote-
Shadow.
She has another one out that came out this year, Silver Nitrate, I think.
So if
It's
you
also a horror.
if you like her, and you should check out her other books.
So one of my first notes is the uncle imported English Earth, red flag. The family is in Mexico and doesn't allow Spanish, red flag.
Yep.
See, these are funny.
Yeah, dumped it up. Oh, when they said that Catalina had tuberculosis, I was like, oh snap, Noemi, she has TB, run. And then Catalina coughed, and I was like, oh great, if this were a movie, she'd be dead. But she survived.
Yeah. She
survived. I was really happy
I
about
really
that.
thought Catalina was gonna
Yeah.
I'm glad she didn't.
die. Traces of mold in the bathroom, not good for the lungs. Oh, I liked the scene when in the beginning when Noemi is exploring the house and there's a moment where she comes across one of the journals. I don't know if it was in a library or office, but it was one of the eugenics journals. She just threw it in the trash. I liked that. Mushrooms sprouted by the graves, like mushrooms they ate for dinner. Yuck. I guess when I started to realize mushrooms were going to be a thing. Oh, Noemi's father said she cared too much about her looks and parties to take school seriously. And her response in her head was as if a woman could not do two things at once. I just liked her.
Yeah, that was good.
Like how smart she was.
She was very smart.
Mhm.
She knew about like how dyes affected, like mercury and stuff like that affected the brain. And she was like, maybe that's what's making her sick. I like that she grounded things and it wasn't immediately
yeah.
like, this place is haunted.
Yeah.
Francis mushroom hunting in the cemetery. Ew, just ew. They're eating people, guys. Aryan zombies run. Oh, the doctor said, excuse me at one point, and Noemi said, no, I will not excuse you. Baller. I didn't realize
These are
I had
good,
so
kiddo.
I didn't realize I had so many, like, points
Funny
for
ones,
her.
yeah. I mean, it still doesn't beat I liked this and this, and I hated the characters, the plot. That was the best one, but this is pretty good. This is solid.
This is better than I thought it would be. Let's scenes I like. Favorite scene, Catalina. Yep, that was it.
Oh, good. Okay. Those were good ones. That was a good one. I love Kendall's notes.
Me too.
They're
Thank
like our
you.
little like editorial note.
Anything else? Anybody? You got anything?
I'm just really glad that I read In the Dream House first to set up a
Mhm.
lot of the Gothic and horror structure, and then reading this book, I was like, check, check, check.
Yeah.
So,
And the Latin culture that translated
Yeah.
in both. It's just really interesting to see the Gothic combined with that in a cool way. It's a really cool thing.
I'm glad we did a horror book, and I'm glad we all liked it.
And I'm glad we did for Hispanic heritage. I mean, I'm glad we were able to find something that really blended
Mhm.
all of that. That was a good call.
High fives, high fives.
All right. Before we close out this episode, I'm going to promote Hoopla. With Hoopla, you can access ebooks, e-audiobooks, and stream music and movies and more. With your Gaston County Public Library card, you get 6 instant borrows a month, which means no waiting, and 5 flex borrows a month, which means some waiting. If you don't have a library card with Gaston County, if you're listening from New Mexico, for instance, be sure to check out your public library to see what their digital resources entail.
If you live in Roswell, your library card has an alien on it.
Really?
Yep.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
go to Roswell, New Mexico Public Library's site. They totally double down on it. It's awesome. Good for them. Yeah.
That is a very specific New Mexico call out.
Well, we get a lot of listeners from New Mexico.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, hey, New Mexico.
Like last month, New Mexico was second after North Carolina.
No
I'm pretty
kidding.
We should go travel. We should go travel there and record there
Yeah.
Oh,
on Gaston County Dive. That will never happen. But
they will give us one dime.
right. Well, no, that we found on the floor.
All right. That's it for this episode. Mexican Gothic by Silvia Morena Garcia is available both in the library and online at the NC Digital Library and through the Libby app. Let us know what you think of the book and what you think of what we think of the book. Just leave a comment at the Off the Shelf blog at gastonlibrary.blogspot.com or at gastonspeaks.podbean.com. Next month's book will be Fuzz, When Nature Breaks the Law by Mary Roach. All right. Thanks for listening.
Bye,
Thanks, guys.
guys.